as co-host of Oh for Food's Sake podcast. It's International Women's Day. It would feel remiss of me to not do a video on International Women's Day. If you are watching this live or watching it as a replay, then give me a hello, give me a hashtag replay, because I'm all about community and I want to make sure I know who's been here. I am going to talk to you about how we can thrive, not just survive, as women in the food industry. I've got a few slides I'm going to share with you. I actually wrote these slides a couple of years ago and I haven't really shared them. I share snippets of them, and I think a lot of the messaging in there will resonate with a lot of people, and they'll see, you'll notice things that I've talked about. But I've held myself back from sharing the whole thing. And therein lies part of the problem. I am a big advocate of helping women get their voice in the food industry. I am absolutely passionate about it. I am a woman in food. I've worked in the food industry for over 20 years and I absolutely flipping love it, but at times it's nearly broken me. And it's now my mission to help other women to have success in their careers without frazzling themselves to complete burnout. And the reason that's my mission is because just over a decade ago now, I well and truly burnt out working as a commercial manager in the food industry. And since then, I've returned, I have recovered. It took me a long time to recover. And I have learnt a lot about the psychology of burnout. I've learned a lot about why it happens more for women. I've learned a lot about the internal things that hold us back, as well as the external biases that hold us back as women in food. And today I'm going to talk about, there absolutely are, unconscious biases that still go on. There are things in the food industry that make it quite difficult for women, but that is not the only reason. There is an element of us holding ourselves back because of all the conditioning we've had from a very young age. So I'm going to share my slides. They're a bit jazzy because I did them 2 years ago when I was I've got this new business and I'm going to be all jazzy, and now I'm a bit more boring and professional in my slides. So I'm just doing some clicking so that I can make sure that you can still see everything. So I'm going to hide that bit there. Right, hopefully you can see the slides, let me know. I'm going to talk about how to thrive, not just survive, as a woman in the food industry. And now I can't get the slides to move. Right, so that is me. Stood in Sainsbury's atrium 11 years ago, and on the outside, I was a bit of a nut job. Sorry, that was not a good use of language. I was on the outside, I had it all, and I was doing it all. You can see, I was a senior manager, but I was quite happy to stand up and dress in a pink lady suit. And I know some of you will have been there or dressed up in that suit yourself. But the relevance of this is that I was somebody that was willing to get their hands dirty and do absolutely everything that needed to be done. And I will come on to talk about why sometimes that gets you to a certain point, but it doesn't get you where you really want to be. So today I'm going to talk to you about navigating a career in food as a woman, what often gets in the way for us, and what you can do about it. And I firstly want to share this statistic with you, and it's absolutely not just a food industry issue, this, but I want to talk to you about it in the context of the food industry. Only 7% of CEOs in the food and grocery industry are women. And when you get down to exec team level, it's still only 22%. And actually, when you get down to a departmental level, and this is all from an IGD study that was done in 2019, and there's been an update in 2021 as well, The only departments where there is any kind of parity is marketing at 50% and HR, where it's over 70% of the leaders are women. There aren't any stats for MPD, but I'd imagine it's similar for MPD as well. And it's almost like women are only allowed to, I don't know if it's allowed to or feel they have place to in those departments that are seen as more fluffy, more empathetic, more all of those things. And it is a real problem because as we see more and more people coming, or less and less people coming into the industry, and we want to have as diverse an industry as possible, we are getting, when people have no, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm having like a brain fog moment. When they have no role models to look up to in the same way, it can really, really hamper your confidence coming in as a woman into the industry. But we come in, and early in our careers, we tend to excel. We're preconditioned as women to be particularly helpful, work really hard, care for everybody around us. And our hardworking nature and putting everyone else's needs before our own makes us super employable. We start saying yes to everything, every project, every stay late, every get up early, because we're keen. And we get rewarded for that in the short term. We get rewarded with more work, but we might get rewarded with promotions to a certain degree. And you see, particularly like in MPD teams, you might see it tends to be more female biased anyway, but more women get into that senior tech kind of level quite quickly and moving upwards. But the reality is the food industry, although it is fun and it's fast moving, we all do it because we love it, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing it, but it can be quite relentless. And the last 3 years has been particularly relentless. But we're well equipped, we are seasoned multitaskers. So we just get on, we just do it all. We just get on with it. We work harder, we work longer hours. But it remains quite a male-dominated industry, particularly in the boardroom. And that can also take its toll. It can mean that we sometimes feel intimidated. I know that there have been times where I felt physically intimidated in a factory with a big burly factory manager having a go at me. It can mean that and this isn't just anecdotal, that it is proven that in a room where you are the only person that looks like you, so whether that's that you're female or you are of a minority group, you are less likely to speak up and get your point across. And that can prove quite difficult. But we get around it because we work harder, we're extremely conscientious, we're brought up that way. We do what we do best, which is doing everything and working longer and longer hours. And we might have got to a point now where we're managing other people. And as empathetic leaders, again, it's not a stereotype, it's a generalization, but as a whole, female traits tend to be more empathetic leaders. And that means that we end up starting to put our own teams ahead, needs ahead of our own, and we will be protecting them from all the crap coming downstream, and we're stuck in this middle bit where we are worrying all about our team and trying to deal with the politics above us. And frankly, it can be exhausting. And then what tends to happen is it could be a big life event, and in my burnout story, I had a lot going on. I bought a new house, I was getting married, there was all of that stuff, like stress, happy stress, but still stress going up. But it can just be that everything creeps up on us. We start to juggle things. And it's not just about having kids, because we don't all have kids, but we often do have elderly parents that we have to worry about, and other things in our lives that we start to juggle. But something starts to change in our mind as we get older. And it starts to get too much, and you start getting that nagging feeling and questioning what is the point? Why am I doing this? You start to resent everyone and everything around you. That can start to look like, I can't even be asked to speak up in a meeting, because what's the bloody point? It can be you get home and you start snapping at the kids, snapping at your partner, and you just feel like you're doing everything badly, and it starts to eat away at you, and it starts to take away your self-confidence a little bit. But the reality is, you can't give it all up now. You're only halfway through your career, and frankly, why should you give it up? Because you've been told from a very young age that women can have it all, right? And why should you give it up? But there's just a reminder here, just because you can do it all doesn't mean you should be doing it all. And I know that there's a million shoulds going on in your head right now. There's the kind of that, I should be able to do this. Women can have it all, right? You know, I can see the mums at the school gate, they all seem to have it together and they're juggling everything. So why shouldn't I be able to do it? And you're thinking to yourself, God, I should really say something in that meeting tomorrow, but I can't be bothered. I'm exhausted. What's the point? You feel like you're juggling everything. You end up feeling guilty at work, outside of work. You feel like you should be logging on. You feel like you should probably go for that promotion, but I haven't got the energy because of everything I'm juggling. And you feel like you're out of control in your life, but that everyone else has got their shit together. Spoiler, they haven't either. And I just want to tell you that it doesn't have to be this way. You know, all those shoulds, there'll be ones that you've got to add to the list, but you know what I mean. You felt like that woman in that picture where you're like, oh my goodness, everything that is going on. But it doesn't have to be this way. It is possible to find some balance in your life while reigniting your passion for what you do at work and for your career in the food industry. So I'm going to give you 3 little tips on how to do that. The first one, actually I've put in the middle here, but it should be the first one, is to start asking for help. And that means at work and at home. It's about starting to push back to give yourself some time back. And, you know, at work, that can look like going through your diary and looking at all those back-to-back Teams meetings and which ones do you actually need to be at? And could you let go a bit? Could you let your team cover something? Could you push back to your boss and say, I need to reprioritize? At home, it can be not doing the classic thing that a lot of us do that say, it's just easier if I just do it myself. You need to start asking for help. And it isn't help. You know, if it's housework and you live with a partner, that partner should be contributing to the housework. If it's the mental load of all the things that are going on for the kids, you've got to start pushing that stuff onto somebody else as well. You do not need to be Superwoman and look after everybody and everything around you. And I want you to do that first. And that can feel really hard, but I want you to do that first because you need some time to reflect on what you really want and what you're good at. So grab yourself a cuppa, sit down and just start writing about the things that you want in your life. Because what can happen is when we are over giving to everybody else around us, and what can happen in our career is we just end up somewhere because somebody's asked us to do that. I mean, you can end up on a career trajectory that you didn't even plan to be on. So spend some time reflecting on what it is that you want and what you're actually good at. And then the third thing, and I know you're probably going, I ain't got time for this. but I want you to do something that is just for you and not for anybody else. Because when we talk about work-life balance and that feeling of being completely frazzled, we often think, well, I just need more time outside of work so that I can give to other people. I can get all the housework done. I can get the kids to school. I can do this, that, and the other. But what about you? You need to do something that is just for you. So, I mean, this is why things like, it doesn't need to be something massive, but, you know, think about the things that you loved when you were a kid. You know, I used to love playing the piano, so sometimes I play the piano again now. Were you a little bit artistic? Get the blooming paints out, get an adult colouring book. That's why they exist. But start doing something that is just for you and for nobody else. And it can be like as cheesy as the bath, the bubble bath. I never really like that analogy because I just think self-care is not just about bubble baths. But really, I want you to start asking for more help. Think about what you want, not what everybody else around you needs, and do something that is just for you. Because this will give you the much needed headspace to work out what it is that you actually want in your career going forward and where the gaps are and why you might not be getting where you want to. It can help you how to get there, work out how to get there, and it can start to help you feel like you again. And that's going to help you get balance back in your life. It's going to help you get your self-confidence back as well. Because imagine feeling like you're in control of your life and your career again. Imagine feeling like you're confident to speak up in meetings, take the next career step, feeling like you do something that matters and that you're getting recognition for it. And imagine getting home from work and not snapping at the kids and not feeling like you're flipping exhausted by it all. So as a reminder, about what I've just said is that we are, particularly as women, preconditioned to be perfect, to do everything perfectly, to work really hard, get our heads down, please everyone, and put everybody else's needs ahead of our own. And what I'm asking you to do is to let go a little bit of that. Let go of perfect, and let go of having to rescue everybody around you. We work in a fast-paced environment. It has never been more fast-paced than it is at the moment. And that's why it's so important for you to find some balance and do something that is for you in all of this, because I can guarantee that if you carry on a path where you just work and have no downtime and no space to breathe, just breathe when I was doing that, you need to find some balance, because you will end up in a position of burnout or feeling particularly exhausted or frazzled or getting ill, all of those things, if you don't find some balance. And we get the other thing is that we get the edges knocked off us a little bit throughout our career. You know, we believe every negative thing that's ever said to us, but aren't very good at holding on to all the positive things that are said to us. So I want you to take some time to reconnect with how good you are and think about your strengths and the things that you want and the things that you're good at, because that lacking of self-confidence is partly what might be making you feel particularly overwhelmed at the moment. And if you want help, always a marketeer me at the end. If you want help with reigniting your passion for working in food and find more balance, then get in touch with me. Contact me on LinkedIn. My handle, whatever it's called, name, Amy Wilkinson Coach. Come and connect with me, because I would love to help you if I can. And please let me know if you've been here. Give me a hashtag replay. I hope you found that useful. I've realised as I've been going through it that over the last 2 years, I've learned so much about why things are slightly different for us as women. And there really are there's a lot of systemic issues out there. There's lots of bias. There's lots of things that are not completely within our control that hold us back. But there is a lot of things that are in our control that hold us back. And I would invite you to do something about that and stop holding yourself back. So let me know in the comments below what you've thought about everything I've said, any questions you've got, and do come and listen to the O for Food's Sake podcast, because me and Lucy, who I host the podcast with, have conversations like this all the time, and we're here to help. All right, take care. See you later. Bye.